Hello, good afternoon. An inquiry's found the deaths of 2 people at a young offenders institution in Falkirk could have been avoided if not for a catalogue of failures in the system. Katie Allen, who was 21, and 16-year-old William Brown, also known as William Lindsay, took their own lives at Polmont Young Offenders Institution in 2018. Katrina Renton has this report.
She was my best friend, my big sister, and almost like another mother to me.
Scott is now 21, the same age his sister Katie was when she died. He was just 15 when he saw her for the last time in prison.
I don't believe my sister made the decision to take her own life. I believe she was too scared to keep living.
Scott has been campaigning since his sister's death so that nothing like this can happen again. Katie had been drink driving and injured a 15-year-old boy. She was sent to Polmont in March 2018. The inquiry heard she was repeatedly bullied and threatened while in jail. Around 3 months later, she was found dead in her cell. 16-year-old William Brown was sent to Polmont after carrying a knife into a police station. He was meant to be sent to secure children's accommodation. There were no spaces. The prison was told of his history of trying to take his own life. William was dead within 3 days.
We phoned. Everybody seen his mindset. Everybody that knew him and worked with him knew what he was going to do. And SPS and Polmont staff didn't adhere to that. They didn't listen.
Today, a fatal accident inquiry concluded Katie and William's deaths could have been prevented had reasonable precautions been taken. Sheriff Simon Collins KC found there were systemic failures with the Scottish Prison Service and healthcare in Polmont. Of William, he said almost all of those who interacted with him were at fault to some extent. He made 25 recommendations, including for the prison service to take definite and practical steps to make cells safer. He criticised the failure to do this in the period since Katie and William's death. The family's lawyer gave their reaction.
As for the Scottish Prison Service, former prison governors, senior management at Polmont, the Forth Valley Health Board, as well as the Scottish Government, First Ministers, former First Ministers and successive Justice Ministers, you should all hang your heads in shame. You are complicit in the deaths that continue to take place.
The Scottish Prison Service and NHS Forth Valley have both apologised for the failures highlighted in the report. They and the Scottish Government are now carefully considering the recommendations. Katrina Renton reporting Scotland.
Police investigating the disappearance of 2 sisters in Aberdeen have revealed they made an earlier visit to the bridge where they were last seen. Henrietta and Eliza Hushti, who are originally from Hungary, have been missing for 11 days. Police said a text message had also been sent from Henrietta's phone saying they would not be returning to their flat in the city. While reporter Louise Hosey joins us now from the banks of the River Dee. What more can you tell us, Louise?
Well, Graham, today police have released new details about the movements of Henrietta and Eliza Hushti in the hours leading up to their disappearance. We already know they were captured on CCTV in the early hours of January the 7th before crossing Victoria Bridge and coming down along a footpath near the river. A new CCTV image released by Police Scotland today shows that the sisters made an earlier visit to the same bridge at around 2:50 on the afternoon of Monday, January the 6th. Police said they were there for around 5 minutes but didn't engage with anyone. They then returned to their flat in the Charlotte Street area, and police say that there's nothing to indicate that they then left their flat until shortly before they were last seen. Now, officers are now appealing for anyone who might have seen the sisters at this earlier time to contact them. They also say that a text message was sent from Henrietta's mobile phone to the sisters' landlady at around 2:12 a.m. on Tuesday the 7th of January from the Victoria Bridge area, in which it was indicated that they wouldn't be returning to their flat. The phone was then disconnected from the network and it hasn't been active since.
And searches are continuing, Louise.
Yes, that's right. Police say extensive inquiries are continuing. They're continuing to trawl through hours of CCTV footage. Searches have been taking place today, are expected to continue during the day and also in the coming days. Police say that they are also in close contact with the family of the Hushti sisters who live in Hungary at what they say is a very difficult time.
Louise in Aberdeen, thank you for the moments. And you can see more on that story on Reporting Scotland at 6:30 tonight. Now, MSPs have stopped short of calling for a ban on any expansion in the controversial salmon farming sector. Ministers have spent 9 months examining what's changed. While they recognise there have been improvements, they remain disappointed that fish deaths have remained around the same level, around a quarter of stocks. Our environment correspondent Kevin Keane has more.
It has been a polarising sector worth hundreds of millions to the economy, but with a string of environmental issues. And in 2018, after 2 Holyrood inquiries, 65 recommendations for improvements were made, many of which are still to be implemented. There was even controversy when campaigners filmed dead fish being removed from cages ahead of a visit by the committee.
There's a lot of frustration. We're just not satisfied with the progress that's been made over the last 7 years. So we're calling on the government to accelerate the process of implementing the recommendations from 2018.
The committee says the sector is important to Scotland's economy and for providing thousands of rural jobs. The environmental regulator, SEPA, has been working more closely with the industry on the appropriate siting of fish farms, and the report recognises that there have been improvements.
Our environmental performance is immeasurably stronger now. We produce fish for the international marketplace. Consumer requirements for fish are ever higher. Indeed, they will break all records this year.
For years, these things, sea lice, have been the source of the sector's woes. They attach themselves to salmon and eat into their skin. But warming seas have brought new challenges, like algal blooms and micro-jellyfish. And there's been no real reduction in the number of fish which die, around a quarter of stocks annually.
The industry continues to be in a state of crisis. We're seeing alarmingly high death rates, disease and lice outbreaks, and environmental degradation as a result of the industry. And the Scottish Government has simply been too slow to act.
Ministers say improvements have been made and they'll consider the report carefully. The committee says it'll review progress again in a year's time. Kevin Keane, Reporting Scotland.
To tennis now, and Jacob Fernley's Australian Open is over after defeat to Germany's Alexander Zverev in the 3rd round. The 23-year-old from Edinburgh was playing in his first overseas Grand Slam after an impressive rise up the world rankings. But he wasn't able to cause an upset against the second seed, who won in straight sets in Melbourne. Let's get the weather forecast. Judith, is it the map for us?
I certainly am. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Do you know, the weekend's coming up, and actually the weather's again not too bad at all for getting out and about. And that's because the high pressure that's been protecting us all week from all these weather fronts and Atlantic systems is still managing to keep an protective arm around Scotland, taking the energy out of any weather fronts that are coming our way over the weekend. Although by the time we reach Sunday, we start to take colder air from the near continent, pulling up across the country, so you'll notice it turning that bit colder. This afternoon, though, it's predominantly dry, thicker cloud in the west, producing some bits and pieces of rain or drizzle, some quite strong winds up towards the Western Isles and the Northern Isles as well. The best of any brightness through the central lowlands and across the east, but still very mild, possibly seeing 14 Celsius along the Murray coast and across parts of the north. Into this evening, we'll see a spell of heavier rain pushing in across the Western Isles, the northwest, into the Northern Isles before clearing away. Dry elsewhere during the overnight period, clearing skies across northern Scotland, winds back into the south by the end of the night, and in that flow quite a lot of cloud across the south, not to say that there won't be any breaks. Chilly through clear skies in the north, maybe cold enough for a touch of frost, for most of us around about 5 or 6 Celsius. Into tomorrow, a lot of dry weather to come and the best of the sunshine certainly during the morning across northern Scotland and the Northern Isles. Always cloudier towards the west coast with strong southerly winds here. The clouds should thin a break at times in the south and not quite as mild. Sunday we do it all again, a lot of dry weather to come. The best of sunshine I think in the east and it will feel a bit colder. That's your forecast.
I'm reassured by that protective arm round us.
You like it? Big hug.
Judith, thank you for that. That's all for now. Back to Sarah Campbell now.